start. This is a momentous occasion to have, first of all, the Autry welcome 8 stars from one of the greatest television Western series that ever existed. Once again, the whole cast. It's not Math 101. We're going to start. Actually, we're going to start with you, Gary, since you're down on the end. What did being on the Virginian and part of this reunion here 50 years later, what does it mean to you?
Not too much.
And by the way, we got to share microphones because we don't have enough, so we should pass them on.
You know, getting the Virginian was really a hoot, huge step forward in the career. You know, there's always that. And I remember we would talk about it, being on the set. Gee, we hope that people like it, and we hope it's going to be good, and we hope that we're contributing something. And now, 50 years later, when we show up at a convention like this, and hundreds of fans came up and say how much they have enjoyed the show, and how much their children and their grandchildren are enjoying the show. It is, I'll tell you, there were some incredible shows that we did back then. And a little moral to them. You remember Moral? It was something. Yeah. So that's what it was for me. Is.
Clue, what did it mean to you? Plus, I know you had a few words to say about Gene Autry too, because Gene meant something in your life too, I think.
Oh. What did he do? Oh yeah. You know, when you kind of in the public eye, like these folks here, you get a lot of questions asked, and some people ask me, what they usually ask me is, what's with your name? Well, that's my name. That's my real name, Clue. I'm an Indian. I'm a Cherokee Indian. That's an Indian name. He said, oh, as I was named, like in my day, like most Indian babies were named, the first thing the mother sees after the child is born, they name that baby, literally. So they tell me when I was born, my mother looked out the window and saw a red bird out there flying, and a Cherokee Indian name for red bird is Clue, 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 Clue. So they call me Clue, you know. I'm just always glad she didn't look out and see an outhouse. You guys are really dirty-minded. Gene Autry came to my hometown, Muskogee, Oklahoma. I was telling Jim a minute ago in the green room, he went to a lot of hometowns, but he came to mine when I was a kid. And he brought Smiley Burnett with him. And he sang and danced and told stories, and I believed him. And Smiley Burnett was just Smiley. He bulged out his eyes, you know. He talked like a bullfrog sometimes, and Gene called him Frog. And he could play any musical instrument you put in front of him. And I believed him. So when I got out of the Marine Corps, I became an actor because I believed Gene Autry and I believed Smiley Burnett. And what is an actor if it's not someone who has the ability to make us believe? That's Gene. Gene was a mess on a horse. When he started these little films for Republic, you know, and Herb Yates, and later on Columbia, And Herb Yates, the guy who ran Republic, said, "I smell money here." But this singing cowboy lacks virility. And so he hired a guy that I knew named Yakima Canutt. A lot of people feel he was the greatest stuntman ever been in Hollywood. But so was Davy Sharp. So they were both good. They were both very gifted stunt people. And Herb hired Yakima to take Gene out behind the barn, teach him about horses. Like they should have taught you. No, I'm joking. So he had to teach him how to sit a horse, how to mount a horse, how to dismount a horse, how to fight, how to throw a punch, how to receive a punch. And you know, one thing he taught Gene, and no one else could do that, very few people could do this, even to this day, how to mount a horse from the back. You run up to the horse's butt, you spring up, you put your hands on their flanks, you pull yourself up, jump into the saddle, and just ride like hell. And Gene could do that. Actually, Autry, he's from Oklahoma, he really became really good horseman. But not as good as me. I'm a cowboy from Oklahoma, and I used to ride the fences when the weather was below freezing. My hands would turn gray, my fingers sometimes black, but when I saw a hole in that damn fence, it was down. I got off my old pony, got that wire, and I fixed that hole. And I got to tell you, not one white face got out of any of those pastures on my watch. Not one. Ever. And that's the thing I'm most proud of in my life. That and my two children, John and Tom. Okay.
Roberta, you know, I think Diane and Sara owe an awful lot to you. Because if you hadn't gotten married, they wouldn't have probably ever been on the show.
I never thought about that. That's true. I just want to say how fun it is to be with Clue. This is the first thing he has ever done with us. And oh my gosh, we have
You've finally been outed, Clue.
Yes,
And you got Danny to thank for it.
yeah.
That's
Yes.
right, you do.
Did you ask me a question?
Well, yeah,
Oh,
that was kind of a veiled question, so to speak. You got married, so you left the series.
I did.
And it just happened that way. But you came back for one episode.
I came
And
back.
you got married on that.
Yeah, when I left the show, I was under a 7-year contract, and after I left, I was put on, I think it was either 3 or 4 years of probation or whatever. I couldn't work on any suspension. What did I say? Probation? Okay, suspension. And
Probation for somebody else.
okay. And they, when I left, they honestly didn't believe that I would leave, and so they didn't write me out of the script. And then when they realized that I was leaving, they did bring me back and married me off to really handsome Glenn Corbett, and he was a preacher, so they married me off to a preacher. Yeah, cute one too. Glenn Corbett.
Jim,
Yes, sir.
we're all here except for one particular person that's missing. And I'd kind of like you to pay tribute to Doug McClure.
I don't know how I could start that. Doug McClure was a man who he could ride the river with. He had my back for 9 years, and I had his. And it was never a day or a moment that he wasn't dedicated to the task at hand. He had an unerring sense of humor. He couldn't walk into a room without everybody breaking out into a great big smile, even if they didn't know him. They knew him pretty soon. Pretty soon they knew him. He was a great man and a great actor and a great friend. And he would be so happy if he could be here with us, because the resurgence of the show, with the showing of the episodes on Encore for a couple of years, and now with the Inspiration Channel just starting today, as a matter of fact, a 3-year run of the show, he'd be so pleased and so proud and so much in the middle of it. He'd be out there in the audience right now tickling somebody, so. I really don't know how we get along without Doug. It's damn hard. And I loved him, that's all I can say.
Diane, you were actually underage when you came to work on the Virginian, right?
This is true.
The mic.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, I was underage. But I looked older. I never told who that.
Gary.
Oh, well, Gary, yeah, you weren't there when I was there. But yeah, I'm sure I wouldn't have had to have told you anyway, because you're just such a gentleman. Is that expression a gentleman and a clown, I think Gary really embodies that. I mean, just being around Gary, it just kind of works like a drug that keeps a smile on your face or something.
Were the other guys on the show protective of you at that point?
Everybody was just so nice. It was just like having big brothers, and it's still that way. It's like a family.